Oh, hey guys, it's the Dude Seriously Show. We're here today talking about Thor as part of our MCU rewatch series. I'm Jonathan.
Mike.
And Ben, reporting for duty.
And we're here talking about the first Thor movie. So, what'd you guys think?
On a personal note, because as we know, I do cosplay Thor. Going into that, I didn't know anything about the character. I really didn't. I mean, I'd heard of him. And when that came out, I made sure, I was like, I need to do my research on who this guy is. And who better to go to than the creator, Stan Lee. Wrote all these great Marvel characters. And I found an interview where he talked about Thor. And he said, you know, I created a number of characters for Marvel, and I worked with this wonderful artist named Jack Kirby. And we were talking one day, and we said we wanted to do another hero. And Jack said, well, who can we get? We've already got the Hulk, who's the strongest guy. We have Spider-Man, who can climb walls, blah, 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 blah. Who can we get that's even bigger and better and stronger? And it occurred to me, the only way we could do it is to come up with a god. So I go into this thinking, all right, this is a god. This is the most powerful top dog. And you really didn't see a lot of that. It was kind of a letdown.
Visually, you see a lot of that stuff. You see, you know, I think you mentioned early on how it's not aged so great, but put yourself in the moment, you know, when this film came out, it really was great CGI.
At the time, yeah.
It was a spectacle. It was a spectacle. You were invited into this other world.
Yeah.
Right? And it felt as though you were there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much now, but then.
So visually, we get that.
Yes.
But storytelling-wise, Thor doesn't feel like much of a god.
When you look at the other characters, Cap, Iron Man, they don't start with their power. They basically earn it. Thor starts, he's kind of got his power, and then it's taken away. And so it's like, all right, the whole movie, for the most part, he doesn't have any power. It's the reverse effect.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, it was different. I guess I understand why they had to do that, but to me, it dragged on too much.
Are there any parts of this film in particular you would have cut out?
Looking back and seeing how it never went anywhere, the Jane Foster and Darcy aspect, it was a waste of time, I thought.
Mm-hmm. I think the entire film could be redone. I hate to say
Yes,
that,
yes.
but
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what makes a film? In my opinion, editing makes a film. And you can film as many beautiful shots as you want, as many incredible actors as you would like.
As many Dutch angles.
As many Dutch angles as you would like. Without good editing, the film falters.
Mm-hmm.
Any film. And great editing, I think, and I wish these were my words, but they're not, but great editing is knowing when to cut a shot and when not to cut a shot. And this film is full of these shots that just continue to have incoherent and inconsistent cuts. You go from one to the next, and then you get your Dutch angle transition scenes. And we talked about it. You mentioned it about comic books. That's the angle they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
When we talked about this, it feels as though you're taking. You said 4 steps, forward, 1 step back, and I said it was like doing circles. And
Yeah.
as soon as one completes, then you move forward again. But you have to go all the way back, and then you go all the way, and it just felt as though we're rolling very slowly through this process. And like you said, I think it just develops Thor very, very poorly.
I guess maybe overall, as a movie, it's okay. But when you look at the other shows from that phase, it's like they really didn't do him any justice.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, Thor in his limited screen time in Avengers is so much better than in his movie where he's the star and has the most screen time. You know, I think that Thor, the film, really, it tells a good story, you know, about him redeeming himself and learning what it truly means to be a leader and a king and to sacrifice himself. But it takes so much time to get to that point.
The execution.
Or at least it feels like it takes so long to get to that point. I feel like some of the scenes that maybe could have been cut are, as much as I hate to say it, I need a horse, we don't sell that. Oh, well, like little tiny scenes like that could have been cut. Again, it goes back to your point about editing, right? You have to know when to start things, when to stop things, what to keep, what to take out. But if we could have gotten to that scene of him lifting the hammer and realizing that he can't, if we could have gotten to that a little bit sooner, maybe it would have had a little more impact. But by that point,
Yeah, that seems to be when it really takes effect. Like, okay, now he knows what he's got to do, and you see that transition with his character.
Absolutely, and in and of that scene, it took too long. I mean, he fights 212 soldiers to get there. I mean, I swear it was like,
and it was real easy to get into that base too. I mean,
so you know how this movie loves to play on the fish out of water thing? I guess all the Thor movies kind of do. Even in Ragnarok, he's a little bit of a fish out of water in a place that's super weird. With this movie loving that fish out of water aspect, I've always thought how funny it would have been if instead of Thor just rampaging to break into this SHIELD base, if they would have like had him disguise himself to get in as a SHIELD agent and have him walk in, hands on his belt. Oh yes, hello fellow agent. You know, I'm Dr. Donald Blake. I'm here to do science things, you know, and they could have. Chris Hemsworth's comedic timing is so great. They don't utilize that in this movie at all.
No.
But how funny would that have been to play that fish out of water, and then Coulson's like, wait a minute, that's the guy. Oh, get him, and then chase him, and then he gets the hammer, and then they have that moment where Coulson's like, hang tight. Still could have had the Hawkeye scene. Still could have had all of that.
Which is a great intro to his character, I think. I did like that.
Yeah. I love how the camera follows him over his shoulder and he goes for the gun and then grabs the bow.
Yeah. It establishes who he is there. We
the
know
lines,
without even having to see him.
Everything. It's like, all right, I like that.
You know, the fact that they travel 15 miles.
Yeah, in the car.
From broad daylight to a sunset to darkness by the time
Just
we get
like
to the
that.
base in 15, you know. So something else was really weird with the world that we're not aware of either. The hammer's apparently altering.
While we were having that conversation, we noted that the lighting is right because they're driving toward where we see the sunset.
Right.
So that's good. You had said you thought they said 50 miles, and we were good. And maybe they did. I mean, it could be an inconsistency within the script. Who knows? Whether it's 15 miles or 50, it's not long enough that you drive all day. There's no way.
No, absolutely.
So they're driving and it's midday, and then it's sunset, and then it's night, and then just a couple minutes later in the movie, one of the agents mentions 15 miles from wherever.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like we're really nitpicking with that stuff, but it's a very nitpickable film.
Oh, yeah.
I know we discussed the timeline of when it starts, 965 or whatever it is, the Viking era, and you fast forward to the modern day, and no one's ever heard of these guys except Erik Selvig. And we thought, it's like, that's just kind of odd that only one person knows about this stuff.
Is that because he's Scandinavian? I mean, does nobody else on the planet know about Thor?
know.
I mean, nobody asked what Thursday is?
They've got the
where'd
book,
that come from?
and they show the book. It's like the scientists, these intelligent people, nobody knows anything except Selvig.
Yeah.
A little odd.
Yeah.
So, you know, when it comes to Thor's character, there's a lot of good character building, but as far as his power set goes, it's kind of inconsistent. Like when he's in that bed in the hospital and he's strapped down and he can't break out.
Right.
But literally like 6 seconds earlier, he was like fighting all of the doctors.
Throwing guys all over the place. But he can slide his wrist. Maybe he's got tiny hands. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is it Billy the Kid? You know, he slides his hands out of the restraints. Well, and we saw him, like we mentioned earlier, beat up all these SHIELD-trained agents.
Yeah.
Right.
All the way through this tunnel.
I guess he's still a tough, powerful dude, but he doesn't have his power.
Right, but he can't rip the...
And that's the thing. I understand if he's weaker than when he fought the Frost Giants, because, you know, he doesn't have the hammer, he's lost his power.
But then he's inconsistent even as a human.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, what would have been great is if when, you know, those doctors are trying to pin him down, if they actually pinned him down. And then you see this look on his face of like...
How did that happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Almost. He gets the needle to the back, and that's what does it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than that would be perfect.
Yeah.
That he goes after the first guy, and the first guy or two just take him down. He's like, okay.
When I first saw the movie, I didn't know a lot about this stuff. And when you get to the Odin force, because that's a big part of the movie. I mean, Odin gets weak, he needs his sleep. I had no idea what the Odin force was, and I don't feel like they explain it in the movie at all.
I think it's very poorly explained throughout. You know, I don't even know what it, you know, again, like you said, what does it entail? How does it be revived? How does it, you know, because we do hear him say, "You look old." You know, when he's facing off.
Weary, and you see him getting weaker when Loki's yelling at him, "Tell me!"
Right.
I mean, which is a good scene.
Gosh, like looking back now on this, The Dark World and Ragnarok, is Odin's weakness being criticized. Like
He's-
anytime
Yeah.
Odin faces confrontation,
Right.
Oh, I'm weak.
He's supposed to be the all-powerful, the Mac Daddy.
I think I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
You know, next time I get in an argument with somebody and they start criticizing me,
I gotta go sleep. I don't
yeah.
feel good.
Banish
Yeah.
me, put me under a spell.
I suppose a lot of marriages work like that. Though.
I mean, he was married too. So.
True. After Selvig takes Thor out of the shield base, okay, Thor was just in the mud and he's all dirty, and then they go to the bar
Right.
and he's all clean.
Right.
But on top of that, Thor has this new jacket on,
Right.
and we're looking
He
at
gets
each
that
other.
after the bar.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
and then so they go from shield to the bar, and
Yeah.
then they go from the bar to the trailer, and then he's wearing a different outfit
Yeah.
when they go in the trailer.
And let's be honest, if he were average size, you might be able to say that someone just grabbed a jacket out of his coat
But
and
he's
said, here.
not.
But if he's wearing it, yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, what's up? I'm wearing, Sylvan's jacket.
Right.
And
or
there's
James'
almost-
jacket,
might be
it's
funny,
like,
it
it
might
could be
be
hilarious. But then
funny.
you fat guy in a little coat.
That guy in a little coat.
But that's about where we'd be going with it. And then now that would be some great Hemsworth humor again.
Sure.
His timing would be impeccable
Yes.
there because
Right.
he might, go another and rips in the bar, and that would be hysterical.
Another thing that, I don't know, this is just me personally, the biggest names when this movie came out, Rene Russo, Anthony Hopkins, Natalie Portman, they really don't contribute a whole
No,
lot. It's
uh,
like you could have
it's
done
kinda
so
relevant.
much more with that, and it just, again, I felt like it was wasted. Yeah, we've got the names, but what do they offer? And I thought what they did was great. But
Yeah.
they just aren't utilized. I want to see Thor be Thor.
Yeah, you don't see that in this movie.
And for the most part, I would say up until Ragnarok, you don't get to see him be
No.
Thor. It's like he's more of an alien than a god.
Yeah.
And that has always bothered me.
Absolutely. This hammer be itself.
Well, and Odin gives the line, its power holds no equal. It's a weapon to destroy, tool to build.
But it finds its equal.
Yeah.
a lot.
Time and time
A
again.
lot.
Thor goes to hit Loki, and Loki holds up his staff, and the staff does nothing. It doesn't shimmer, it doesn't break in half.
No.
But then he hits it against the bridge like 6 times, and the entire
He
Bifrost
destroys
falls.
half the planet.
So, I mean-
in Jotunheim, he breaks the bridge. with
Yeah.
that. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but we can't hit the staff or anything. It just, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Disappointing.
and that's all I want is consistency. It's
Yes.
not that I need it to do anything physical. Obviously, a hammer doesn't return to you. That'd be pretty amazing. If you're a carpenter and you're dropping off the roof and you just go, and then, oh, I got my hammer back. But I want it to be consistent in its power.
So the physics of the hammer, but at the same time, I mean, if you start nitpicking the physics of everything, it's like,
well.
how does Tony Stark fly, or,
Yeah.
you know.
You just know this is a legendary, iconic
Yeah.
Yeah.
weapon. And
Well,
I
I
don't think you get to see it
Yeah.
be that.
Armor is its equal.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, the Hulk is its equal. It finds a lot of equals out there, or
Curse
betters.
backhands it in Thor the Dark World. He just backhands it away. It's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah, and then ultimately in Ragnarok, we find that it
Yeah.
can be destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, and then there's that scene whenever he's about to be crowned as king, and Odin is giving that big long speech. Thor, Odinson, my firstborn. Well, not really.
I think that's what this film suffers from the most, more than anything else, is its inconsistencies.
Yeah.
We talked about Kenneth Branagh being a fantastic
Yes.
director.
Yes.
And he brought Shakespeare back to the 20th century. He made it relevant. But he seems, speaking of fish out of water, he just seems to be someone who is out of their element directing this film.
I think that definitely had an effect on the film. Is bringing him in again. Not saying he's a bad director, actor, anything. Not a right fit for this film.
Exactly.
And I think it suffered because of that.
But maybe before bringing him in, I feel like the natural thing would be, oh, the Shakespeare guy, the family drama, the royalty, it makes sense
Oh, it does.
on paper.
It does in theory, yes.
Yeah.
It has the element of the son wanting to kill the father, to gain
Sure.
the throne and destroy the brother in order to do so. I mean, yeah, it has all those elements. But this felt very thin. Just the entire film felt thin in so many ways, not the least of which that town of 2,100 people that was literally thin.
But they have a pet store.
They have a pet store.
I need a horse. I need a horse.
And I think there was a video that pointed this out. That there is actually more dogs in that pet store than people will get. So you're actually determining that half those dogs will die, that they will be sent off to the pound to be killed.
So basically, everybody says, "Oh, this film isn't dark enough."
It-
The dogs change everything.
It's the dark world before the dark world. You know, and something that dawned on me while we were watching the film too was that because it was set in the West, you know, the Wild West, it almost had that high noon feel, the classic gunfighter feel at the end, where let's get everybody out of town, get everybody off the streets, so the two gunfighters
The
can
showdown,
Yes.
walking down the street.
Oh yeah, and then no news vans show up. And then Agent Coulson just happens to be there as soon as he walks off. Where were you like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, thanks for the assistance.
Yeah.
Where were you
I'll
to
let you
round
do my
up
dirty
all the
work,
people?
and then I'll show up. But they
Go
become
faster.
friends. It all
Oh
works
yeah,
out.
yeah. Well, what was it that Thor says? We fight for the same.
We fight for the same cause, you and I, the protection of this world.
There it is.
Yeah.
So, just got to cue the guy up.
Do you just think in Thor quotes?
It just comes natural. You gotta know the character to play the part.
You got to tell the story about the driver's license.
All right, so when Coulson is holding Thor hostage in the movie, and Selvig, comes to break him out, and they have that ID, and let's see here, it's you recognize it, the Donald Blake ID. So our friend Tim, he made one of those for me, and I had it in the wallet where my ID was, actually in place of my ID, and I'm out on a date with a lady, and we ordered drinks or whatever, and the waitress asked to see my ID, and so I go to get that. I'm like, oh, I can't use that one. I got to get my actual ID. And she goes, well, what is it? Like a picture of Chris Hemsworth or something? I'm like, actually, it is. Yes, like, it is a picture of Chris Hemsworth. And I showed it to her, and so she's laughing and getting a big kick out of it. And my date's like, she's totally flirting with you. I'm like, well, it's funny. I can't help it, That's how it was.
So that's Thor. It was fun to rewatch, but
Yeah, sure.
not our favorite.
Definitely not.
No, not our
Is it
favorite.
worthy?
In comparison to the other movies, no.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
No, it's not. Especially compared to the other Thor films or the other Marvel films. No, absolutely not. I mean, and we've already proven at the beginning of the show that you weren't worthy.
Yeah.
I wasn't even going to take a shot at
No?
this hammer. No, of course, no.
What do you think? Oh my gosh. Well, he's worthy. Thanks for tuning in, guys. The Dude Seriously Show will be back next week with another Marvel review. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
But then you fat guy in a little coat, but.